I've been watching a lot of TikTok videos and people are like, oh my god, the creative industry is horrible. People are so mean and boo hoo hoo. I've been seeing a lot of that. And I'm not here to agree or disagree, but I'm here to cast judgment. No, here to tell you the truth, right? No, not really the truth. But I just have a theory as to why the creative community, creative industries are kind of the way it is, very closed off, kind of niche, whatever. I have a theory, yeah, and it comes down to I'm not going to say a lot, but I've been doing some research and I've been going to talks about community and third spaces and stuff like that. And I went to a talk recently at Ray Nephew, and it was so interesting and it was a mix of age ranges, but it was so interesting to hear what other people think their third space is. So a third space, right? In sociology, I'm going to be reading from my laptop because I don't know all the answers. Sorry about it. Hopefully this is good. But in sociology, the third space refers to the social surroundings that are separate from two usual social environments of the home and the workspace. Okay? This dude called, what's his name? Ray Oldenburg, right? I was reading this, which was an article from Space. The shock of isolation, lack of third spaces, right? I said, this is like speaking on everything that I'm kind of doing with my own things. And I just found it really interesting. So there's a lot said in here, but I kind of want to skip to the bit. One of our classics is meeting up, whatever. It allows us to connect not only professionally but personally with each other. So that was talking about basically they're like architectural people, and they were like, it's an article, whatever. So examples of third spaces are cafes, parks and community centres, right? And obviously other places like churches and places like that. Ray Oldenburg's theory is that third spaces are informal public gathering spaces that are accessible, inclusive and promote social interactions. These places are neutral grounds where individuals from diverse backgrounds can come together, fostering community ties and social capital. Now, because I'm a little bit of a not knowledgeable, I had to look up what social capital meant, right? And according to Google, social capital is a set of shared values or resources that allows individuals to work together in a group to effectively achieve a common goal or purpose. Social capital can be also thought as the potential ability to obtain resources, favours and information from one's personal connections. Okay, so from that alone, you can... I put together the two things of the creative industries and social capital. A lot of what we do in the creative industries is connecting, sharing information from personal experiences, resources. Do you have a camera? I have a camera. How do you do this? Like that kind of stuff, okay? But in Ray Olden's The Great Good Place book, he describes the character of third places in 4 different groups, right? Or 4 different topics or whatever it is. So he says neutral ground. No individual has to host, making the space equally accessible. So for example, places like Soho House, no one's particularly hosting it, unless it's an event, of course, but no one's hosting it. You show up, you can chill. It's a place where no one has to really put investment in, apart from the money. But do you get what I'm trying to say? No one has to do much. A leveler. So it's inclusive and welcoming to all, regardless of social status. Again, like I think Soho House is a good example of a third space because, again, it's a neutral ground. No one has to host. A leveler. You find a lot of people with different ages, different places in their careers, all chill in the same spots. Conversation hubs encourages dialogue and interaction. Again, there are no computers after so much time, blah, blah, blah. Conversation hubs. Accessible, easy to reach and accommodating to a broad audience. I mean, not really accommodating to a broad audience, but again, it's easy to reach, it's accessible, people can get to it, there's lots of them. So they're the kind of 4 things that a third space kind of should tick. But why are they important? So as I said before, as someone else said in this article, a third space is essential for social capital and connections to be built, right? And without that, a lot of people are individuals. As humans, we're packed animals. Much like wolves, we roll in packs. We do well with families, communities, stuff like that. And with COVID and with a lot of other things, we've lost that sense of community and that packed mentality. A lot of people, like the saying goes, to it takes a village to raise a child, and it's like, I think slowly we've strayed further from that. Even like with households and like single mothers and stuff, like we're straying further and further away from that community, that togetherness, the home, the unit, right? And it's important. It is very important because, like I said, we're packed animals. We do better when we can share information, and then we can each individually grow together, because growing alone is very lonely. What does third spaces look like now? Third spaces now look more like digital spaces. Now, I don't have my phone with me because I'm recording on it, but third spaces now look digital. When I went to the talk, a lot of people were saying social media, and it's weird because it's the traditional sense of a third space is like a cafe, it's like a church where people meet in person. And I guess now with AI and Meta making, you know, like them, like what was it called before? It was NFTs, but then they were gonna make like a multiverse or whatever. Not a multiverse, that's Marvel that I'm tapping into. But they were gonna make something like a universe or a world outside a digital one. And it's funny because a lot of people come to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok to get away, to escape from home or work, and so they can connect with other people. The only problem with like digital spaces is there is a lack of like interpersonal like conversation and talk. The only other thing, which is the issue with my notes. The only other thing that is also an issue with digital spaces is that I feel like with trolls and stuff and the harassment and stuff, people feel like it's way more acceptable to say what they want because it's online, it's you know, keyboard warriors, which is also like something that you'd probably get in person but less of. Like good old Ray said, right? He said something about in the article and in the book, they mentioned something about neutral backgrounds in which people can just be. It's diverse, you get to talk, right? What I find in a lot of creative things, like you pull from so many different like places for, what do you call the word when it's like inspiration? You pull from a lot of different places for inspiration, right? And with there being no space to congregate and to bond, you're kind of in your own echo chamber. And that's something that I find like it's very easy to fall into, and it's kind of natural. With the people that you surround yourself, you start hearing the same things all the time, which is an echo chamber. And to be creative in general, you have to get out of that echo chamber to experience other things, which also then influence your output, your creative output. And without third spaces like enabling and fostering them kind of like those kind of conversations, we're kind of just seeing the same thing again and again and again, which I kind of see with fashion sometimes. Like, it's unfortunate, but in streetwear, I've been seeing a lot of people say about how they see the same thing again and again and again. There's not really much differentiation between people anymore. We're seeing the same. Someone said what was her name? I forget her name. I'm going to put a video like.
Thing with me when it comes to London streetwear is like it confuses me why people are afraid to like do something different, and how much does like being a part of a subculture actually affect our buying habits. So I'm seeing the same designs on the same models, emphasis on the same models, same cameras, similar locations. Like it just feels so repetitive. At the moment it feels like a mirror. It feels like everyone's just mirroring each other, and it's like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And I think we're so obsessed with the idea of things being aesthetically pleasing and appealing to a certain audience and a certain demographic that we've completely lost the art of creativity and doing something that's different. And we're scared to do something that's different because it's different. I think sometimes we forget, in order to stand out, you have to like step out of line. Like you have to do your own thing. You really have to step out of line. And I feel like people don't get that.
But she was saying so well that it's the same influences, the same models that we're seeing all the time. And it's like, I want to see something fresh. Like, this is supposed to be it's supposed to be creative. And I feel like we're just doing it for clout. Someone else said that.
I don't think that there is a creative scene, to be honest, because the taste level and just the appreciation for things in the UK is surface level, maybe even lower. They don't even have the understanding or capacity to appreciate and understand things that are outside the norm that we probably consider creative.
A lot of these like fashion weeks are now just a competition of what brand or what fashion house can get the most influencers, the most influential person on the seats. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's really interesting that now the focus is more the clout and where we can go with something. I love what Clint said not long ago. Clint 419 for whatever, who owns Cortez, and it's like you have to stay original, selling out and like selling the idea, selling out, not sticking to your originality and what your purpose can really lead you astray. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of fashion people, but also people in the creative industries. Like, you did it for a reason. Let's try and stick to that. All right, babes. I know the club isn't necessarily a third space, but I guess it could be. But because of a lot of clubs closing, a lot of people go to events, and I think that now there's been such a high influx of events. I think that people think that events are a third space where they connect. For me personally, in my personal opinion, like, events are not third spaces. Events are not places where you connect in that way. Like clubbing events, I mean. When you go to a book talk or when you go to a community talking, I think there's a more chance of you connecting. But again, it kind of takes away from the point of like no one having to host, right? I think with events, so I've been to a few like clubbing events, let's say like day parties and stuff. And it's interesting because you're there for a purpose. You're drinking or you're getting drunk. You're talking to people or you're chirping to people, like you're chatting them up, like, do you know what I mean? And also there's this thing of there's a fluff in my face. And there's a thing of like looking your best and like, you know, sucking your stomach in and looking good and da-da-da-da. And people don't dance. And maybe that's a separate topic, but I don't know if it's because of the digital space. People are scared to get caught on camera like dancing, enjoying themselves. I don't know if it's people want clout, so they're just bothered about taking pictures and looking good. I don't know what it is, but I know we've lost that element of going out. Do you know what I mean? And having fun. And when we're at work and we do that. And I even read a statistic where a lot of people, when they go into work, they don't do, like, we work for 8 hours. People typically do about 3 hours of work, but because of the space you're in, you get to talk to your colleagues, you get to have that office gossip. Do you know what I mean? Like the meetings, the social interaction. A lot of it is not about the actual sole purpose of being at home. A lot of it, or being at work, sorry. A lot of it is based on the community and the people that we talk to. We spend a lot more of our time working than we do relaxing and being at home. At home is very different. That's where you cook, you clean, like that's your home base, that's your foundation. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that I think some people, because they crave community, because they don't really know where to get it from, I think a lot of people have turned to events, day parties and stuff, and that's not necessarily what it is. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, and I think a lot of it is that's why the creative community, especially, I don't know about all these other communities. I don't know about the financial babes. I don't know about you lot. But for the creative people, the things that I'm involved in, there's not a lot of places that are accessible. Day parties are also not that accessible because if you ain't got a ticket, you ain't going. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I think there's a big need for something to bring together creative people from everywhere, from all different levels, bring them in a space and like have them talk, have them connect, because there's no good reason as to why there's some people up there and there's some people not. And I think it kind of flows into, like, I know music is creative, but the music industry itself, that's why we have such big people and such, because there's a hierarchy, and I think there's a separation, and there's like VIPs, and do you know what I mean? There's separation, and which doesn't foster community. It doesn't foster like conversations around social capital. Anyway, I think I've spoken enough. For my personal opinion, I'm starting to look more into third spaces and how I can contribute to that and what I can do. Yeah, I kind of, hopefully in a year or in a few years, I have my own third space where I can reflect on these kind of videos and be like, oh yeah, you really did the do. Well done on today. Do you know what I mean? Bye.